Weeping lasted all night. I know that joy comes in the morning light. So I march on to a new song, 'cause I've been marching to that old one way too long. And I gotta move on and take new steps every day, 'cause I know there is got to be another way. And a brighter day, so I march on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to PURELive. It has been a little minute, just a little bit. I don't know why it feels like every time I've missed some time, it feels like an entire month, and it was just 1 week. Hopefully you've missed me. So it is Friday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And for those of you that are watching, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. We're right here. And those of you that have watched and have been loyal to us, you know that what we started with is our sponsors. So here we go.
Hey, sis. My name is Yasmin Brown, and I am the founder of Beauties on Successful Strides. We are your sisterhood community that cares, and we are advocates for your goals being achieved. I'm talking about those goals that you have put on the shelf, those stretch goals that you really, really want to accomplish, but a part of you feel like it might be impossible. We have been helping women to make the impossible happen, and we want to journey with you. We want to be part of your tribe to help you with making the impossible happen. And we do that by helping you to shift from the no zone. The no zone is that zone where it's like, you know what, I really want to do it, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I should. I don't know if I have enough resources to do so or the support to do so. The no zone is also the fear zone. We help you to shift from the no zone to the no matter what zone. The no matter what zone is having that head crusher, no matter what, get it done, bold, confident mindset. And then we help you to be equipped with spiritual success strategies to success. That is basically helping you with developing systems that works while being part of a community that will support you, love on you, cheer for you, celebrate you, be resource providers for you, and so much more. The time is now, sis. If you are serious about your goals being achieved, if you are serious about making the impossible happen and reaching that next level, then join us. Become part of our sisterhood. Become part of a community that truly, genuinely cares. And I'm just excited to welcome you to Boss Soon. Let's go. Let's take them goals off the shelf. Let's make them happen. Let's make the impossible happen for you. See you soon. Bye.
I enjoy that every time. So if you want to be a part of this wonderful organization, this sisterhood, you can go to beautystrides.com and tell them Asia sent you. And this has been actually quite life-changing for me. Trust me, it is definitely worth it. I mean, it makes a world of difference when you're trying to overcome, when you're trying to reach your goals. So believe me, it is worth it. Moving forward, we have Posh Women's Apparel, classy, sophisticated, stylish. Here are some of the styles that are on their website, and you may recognize one of them there in the corner. I've worn this on the show. And if you yourself would like to be stylish and sophisticated, like myself, then you too can go to poshwomensapparel.com and use the code Asia, and you will get 10% off. You're welcome. And we also have Abella Eyewear. So you can go to my website, asiajamal.com or asiajamal.net, whatever floats your boat. And if you go in there and you see at the top where it says Abella Eyewear, you will get 30% off of your purchase if you go through moi. Again, you're welcome. So, for those of you that are ready to get into this conversation, into the nitty gritty, let's go. We have a very special guest who you guys have been acquainted with before, and that is Dr. Aaron Jamal. We're going to bring him in, and we are talking about something that I don't really hear a lot of people talking about these days. So let's welcome Dr. Aaron Jamal.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And you guys might see that little box up at the top. That's our support over there. She may have some questions, Dr. Margaret Jamal. Yes.
Hi. I'm glad to be here too.
Hi.
Just came to start some stuff.
And she's good at that. And, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to comment and ask questions.
Mhm.
We want you to engage. We want to discuss this conversation with you. So let's get into it. First of all, Dr. Aaron Jamal, I would like to ask you, because you guys, just so you know, he chose this topic. So
Mm.
why did you choose this topic in particular?
Well, the topic itself, and we're talking about aging fearlessly. It's a broad term, one that, as you say, it may not be spoken about often as far as the
Mm,
discussions, but it is one that they're starting to take note and study better. And tackling not only the way it is that fear affects people, and they segmentize this into the group that is considered aging, but we know that's a whole lot of folks. Okay. So
right.
it's a large population that they're referring to, but at the same time, there seems to be trends, if you will. People that are in fact, um, well, afraid, but it's not fear that you see in their face. You may
Hmm.
see that they are not as mobile as they used to be. You might see that they are a little more careful in the things it is that they're trying to do, a little less resistant to try something totally new, um, radical. They seem to be more reserved. And often that hesitancy is linked to an event that actually happened, where no one else was able to stop it. For, in other words, it happened while they were alone more than not. There
Mm,
was a fall, there was some type of event that happened to them where a significant injury happened, something that caused them to say, "I'm not quite um, complete as I was before." You know,
interesting.
and so those things change behaviors, change relationships, change dreams, goals that you had. And if you don't acknowledge that it's a possibility, it's easy to slip into it without you even knowing it. We had the
Mhm.
when I say we, my wife and I, Dr. Mario, we were fortunate enough to actually manage a senior, well, it was an independent senior home, and in that setting, there were, um, I would say, probably 20 to 30% of the people that had had a major event happen to them before they came to our senior home. Their children, their family told them it's not okay for you to be by yourself anymore. You need to be around other people. Okay. And so they
Mm,
came here following an event. Others wound up having or experiencing an event even in the senior home. And we had the, I would say, privilege to be trusted in their time of need, where they called, we responded, and often found them in a very vulnerable state, but were able to restore them with dignity, so that they could actually continue. Um,
okay.
it was a really educational experience as well.
Okay, well, to go into something that's aligned with what you're saying, I would like to play this video speaking on a fear that you touched on.
Hmm.
So let's get into this.
Okay.
As we age, can a growing fear of falling lead us to shun activities which then actually increase our risk of falls? Joining us now with the story is WSJ health reporter Melanie Evans. Melanie, it's great to see you. So it is true that as we age, the risk of bone-shattering falls increases, correct?
That is correct.
And
so older adults are like, for older adults, falls can be particularly debilitating. They are the most common cause of traumatic brain injury, and they are far and away the leading cause of hip fractures.
So this is not an irrational fear that a lot of seniors have. This is a very real fear. The problem is, what does that fear often lead many seniors to do or not do?
Yeah, no, and that has been an area of study. So it's understandable that somebody who's fallen would be afraid of falling, but research has sort of teased out that you can have a fear of falling independent of having actually fallen before. And there is also research that looks at how that fear can lead people to sort of limit activities that they might otherwise enjoy, right? So it can be very isolating. It can lead to a lower quality of life, but it can also lead people to sort of cut back on activity that keeps them strong and helps promote balance.
So it can lead to sort of a muscle atrophy, all sorts of problems, physical problems,
Yes.
that can make you more likely to fall.
More prone to fall, exactly.
So what are some of the solutions? I mean, obviously you want to try and keep as active as possible, but you write in your story about Tai Chi in particular. How can that help seniors?
So interestingly, Tai Chi has been looked at both as a fall prevention measure, and there's some very clear research there that says, like, exercise is a great way to prevent falls, and Tai Chi seems to be beneficial. But there's been this separate body of research looking at whether or not Tai Chi can actually help alleviate some of that fear. And the research suggests, though there are some limits to that research, the research suggests that Tai Chi may help ease that apprehension.
So there are also multiple cases of seniors or subjects you spoke to who weren't even aware of the fact that they were limiting themselves as much as they were. Is that right?
Yeah, I had a really interesting interview with a woman who was extremely active. She was volunteering at her local senior center. She was on her community's, the mayor's committee on aging. She described her life as very full. She participated in a class that used cognitive behavioral techniques, which is sort of use of discussion to help identify fears, and then also kind of put those fears in perspective and find ways to kind of mitigate those fears.
Oh, so interesting. Such interesting stuff. I hope we can all remember this as we age. Melanie Evans, thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. There's something that she said, in preparing for the show and researching, I too found, and this is from the Pfizer website, that it says, survey reveals 87% of Americans have a fear of getting old, and the top fear is decline in physical ability. So I thought it was very interesting that she was saying that the fear itself can actually cause the decline in physical abilities. Mm-hmm. Did you witness any of that in working in the, a retirement or a senior community? Is that what it was called?
Right, it's a senior community. And anytime you have 100 different, actually it was more than that, it was more than 100 people there, that's a community, because they're interacting, they're living, they're eating together and sharing in all kinds of activities. So yeah, that was definitely a community atmosphere. And yes, we saw and witnessed the hesitancy, if you will, at times, as well as the ability to provide encouragement. Some of them were extremely supportive of one another, encouraging them to at least try, not just, the physical things, because of course we had aerobics and things like that. But some didn't even want to, they would come and sit on their walk-ins and look at it, or some would just sit back and in their apartments and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not even interested in doing those things. And so we had to find different ways of engaging people. Blessed as we were to use our musical skills to make more of a festive occasion with like the meals, for instance, because sometimes we'd have a bit of a party going on, okay. And live entertainment has that ability to connect with people at a whole different level, and when they're comfortable, like in a dining setting, you'd be
Mhm.
surprised how many people are willing to try things in that comfortable setting, especially when you got somebody as engaging as my wife, Dr. Margaret Jamal. She's not easy to ignore, okay, because
That is the truth.
she will get in your face, but getting in your face in a loving way, and so they
Right.
were always very responsive to her, and it helped us to connect with them and kind of mitigate, like they was talking about in the video, mitigating the hesitancy and apprehension that is there. It's through relationship. It's not just telling them, it's not just showing them. You have to have a relationship with them, and that's what that helped us to develop.
That's excellent. What I thought was interesting is when I was doing all of this research and looking at statistics and things, and they were talking about the age groups that began having the fear aging and,
Mhm.
you know, um, kind of concerned about all of the different aspects. Of course, at the top being the physical decline of physical ability,
Mhm.
and in there's whether or not they're financially stable. I
Sure.
saw the possibility of being alone,
Hmm.
you know, and those things. What shocked me was that the ages that were starting to have those fears was my age group.
Yeah.
And all of your children are actually 30 30 years or older. I'll say that, so I don't tell all, not mine to tell, but I will say I am 36, and the things that they're talking about in regards to fear, I didn't even recognize was a fear, but I definitely identified with some of those concerns.
Hmm.
What kind of age group were you guys dealing with?
A wide group. Some of the ones that were there had serious illnesses that brought them to our group. We did have some that were in their 40s. A couple, I think, were in their 50s. But what I found though in this, it really isn't as much an age thing. I think more than anything, we saw across the board, people want to be relevant. Okay, each of
Mm,
us are stories. I mean, individually, it's not just we have a story, we are a story. If we are finding the
yes.
story that we live is in fact a relevant story to what is going on around us, what is important to the world, then by all means, you have an opportunity to live a fulfilling life at that stage. I think what COVID-19 showed us, because we've had so many people leave us at such a wide spectrum of ages, it's not just about getting old or getting a particular number. It's about, before you leave here, am I making an impact? And since tomorrow isn't promised, and we sure saw that in this past year, tomorrow isn't promised. um, what am I going to do to make it matter, to make it count? Me. How do I make me matter to those it is that I am connected with, either through work, through relationship, through my neighborhood? How do I make an impact? And that thing there is a challenge, because if you're not making an impact, then you start considering yourself to become irrelevant, isolated, lonely,
Mm,
someone
yeah,
that nobody would be missing.
right. Dr. Marker, did you have anything to contribute to that?
Well, actually, when he mentioned the senior community, it reminded me of what happened that really was troubling to me. Um, a young lady, we were, one of the things we do is we celebrate birthdays. You know that. That's our
Mhm.
family.
Yes,
We
that is our
celebrate
tradition.
birthdays. That's our tradition. We say, we're happy that you are born. We want you to be happy that you were brought here in this world for something, and we celebrate.
Mhm.
Right.
And so we, brought that also to the senior community, but we also included the staff. So we celebrated the residents' birthdays, but also the people that worked. Many of the young people that were working there, were working
Mhm.
after school. So we had teenagers.
Mhm.
So we were celebrating this one young lady's birthday. And she said, yeah, I said, what's wrong? Why are you so down? She said, I don't like getting old. I said, you don't like getting old? I said, but you only like, you just made, what, 16? Yeah, I'm getting old. I don't want to get old. And that really, I know, right? That really bothered me. And I'm
Hmm.
like, why would you? She said, well, she said it, it's bad to be old. She didn't use that term, but she said, it's really horrible to be old. And then
Hmm.
in gathering other people, because I was interested in if the other young people felt that way. Do you know most of them felt that way, and they were afraid of getting old.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about teenagers now. I'm saying I believe if they expanded that questionnaire, they'll find that a lot of teenagers are afraid of getting old. Now they had different reasons,
Hmm.
but you'd be surprised. A lot of their fears of getting old is they begin, how people couple getting old and ugly together, not
Mm-hmm.
not being as attractive. And this one said, she said, it's too many bills. She said, I look at my parents, they're always struggling. They're always worried about money. They're always this. That's what old people do. And I just don't want it. So
Wow.
those, to me, with us questioning them, those were actually the biggest fears among the young people. One, not being attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Two, not being able to handle life's challenges
Mm-hmm.
and paying the bills. And they
Yeah.
felt it came with being older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can second that. In regards to one of the things that I pulled up, marketwatch.com, there's common fears across the generations, right? Like I talked about before, and like you're talking about, it's not just people that are already there at the senior level, it's people that are, afraid of getting there. And it says perhaps the most striking survey finding is how much the generations agree on what they worry may happen to them as they age. Fear of losing independence as they grow older is a key concern across the ages, whether that could mean losing memory, being in poor health, or not having financial security. Each of these is a worry of roughly 71% of respondents.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
71.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not at all surprised by that because of the conversations that we've had. Let me just tell you, because I know we're going to spend a lot of time not just talking about the problem itself, but talking about those things that can help people to improve their quality of life, and even change their perspective. I look at it as my secret weapon is one, my relationship that I have with my all of my children, because we have a bilateral exchange where it's not about whether or not I'm always telling you guys what it is that needs to happen. I'm learning from you guys your approach to the things that are happening to you. I may have a different approach. I may have a different idea about what you ought to do, but the bilateral exchange that happens between us keeps me connected with what it is that's going on. Um, um, all of my children are incredibly talented and versed in so many different areas. There's no way that I'm not going to be better off by listening to the things it is and your approaches so that I can add that to my toolkit. The other thing that I would say is part of my toolkit that is extremely valuable is that I have an incredible, innovative, fine, lovely wife, partner, friend, mother of my children that
Oh,
is
don't stop. Don't
sometimes
stop. Keep going. Keep going. More.
that is also at times challenging. And
Oh,
so those things that happen come with the contrast that causes you to grow. You know what I'm saying? If it is that you're trying to grow something beautiful, you don't shield it from the storms. It grows up in the storms as well. And so we've had things that were challenging in our lives together that have helped us both grow and have a better appreciation for those good times as they happen, because we do have a lot of good times, but we've also had those challenges.
I want to bring up a good point in what you're saying, which kind of addresses one of the major fears, and then I want you to address it too, because I know you've watched it or you've seen it. You are not alone.
True.
You are going through this with a family, with a wife. You are,
Hmm.
you're not dealing with anything alone. And one of the videos that I saw in researching this, and again, you guys, feel free to comment or question, and I'll continue to look at your comments even after the show. And this is part one of part two, so you will still have time to contribute. One of the videos that I saw that was interesting. At first, I kind of laughed at her. I'm like, really? This is your fear? She had makeup put on her to show her aged,
Yeah.
to see what she would look like older. And she got
Hmm.
emotional when she saw, the finished product, and then went home to see how her husband would react. And she was just, happy. But he said he was kind of getting emotional as well. Like that reality kind of hitting him, wow, we're going to get old together one day. And, he made
Hmm.
light of it and was like, you look pretty good for an old lady kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
but I think that's a genuine, real fear.
Hmm.
Not just things not working the same way, but if you don't look the same, your hair is turning gray, your hair is falling out, your thing wrinkles and all that stuff, you're not as attractive. And if you don't already have that solid foundation of a family and connection with people, how do you address that? As you getting older, you're feeling so words I'm looking for, less likely to be able to connect as you're aging.
Hmm.
You feel like you're less attractive to people. They're less
Hmm.
likely to want to be around you or be with you. Did you experience that in dealing with, older people? Did you have lonely people there, and how was that handled?
I think that there were some that were struggling not only with loneliness, but the absence of a spouse. Some of them, their spouses had passed. I would say the attractiveness thing, I think that starts inwardly. It's not just, how people are responding to you on the outside. If you're stop looking at yourself as being attractive, there's where the problem begins. And that insecurity kind of winds up being your badge. You're wearing that, that's on your sleeve, that you're insecure about the way you look. Um, for myself, in terms of, um, you know, I think I didn't. In fact, I'm pretty sure I never even envisioned I was going to live long enough to grow old with someone, and I never really imagined myself wanting to grow old to be with someone until I met your mom. Having said that, I've come to learn and appreciate that what you gather in that relationship, as I know you were referring to that earlier, the
Mhm.
relationship is that uh, you have to love yourself first in order to love someone else the way it is that they really want to be loved. Um, I know there's some interesting and pretty songs out there that make it seem like all you got to do is just be loved. You got to love yourself, okay?
Mhm.
Um, and loving yourself, one of the things that I think is core in that loving yourself is to see yourself as enough. The way you are. I am enough just as I am. I have, again, looking at the blessings that I have, I got um, a number of outstanding siblings. My sisters in particular, two of them are own property that they're doing stuff with, where other people are there with them. They're very good stewards, if you will, with their finances, but they're connected as well and challenge themselves to actually try things, even though they may not have the support around them that you might think they would need. They're fearless. They're willing to go out there and do it anyway. And I admire that spirit that says, maybe I can do this, maybe I can't, but I'm going to try. And I think my mother may have been at the root of that, because she seemed to be fearless about anything. I don't seem to remember her ever saying I can't do something. She just said I haven't figured it out yet, and she would get it done. One way or another, she would try it, and she might use us to figure it out. We were guinea pigs for a number of things, but that was still part of the learning process as well. We realized you might make a mistake, you might not succeed the first time, but we can adapt and try it a different way. And that whole thing helps you to feel more like I'm enough. I just haven't figured out how to use me the way I need to use me to get to where I want to go. Okay, so alone, that's not the only issue. Love yourself, accept the fact that you are enough as you are, present that as wear that just like you're wearing your outfit, and you're probably going to attract more people anyway. So it's not about whether or
Okay.
not you've picked up more pounds. It's not about whether or not your hair has changed. It's really more about whether or not you see yourself as enough.
Okay. Dr. Margaret, you have something to contribute?
Yes, I do. And I love my husband. He's just adorable. Uh,
I'm a tool.
and his reality. And here's our reality as women
Okay.
is we get older and we don't want to seem unattractive. Listen, as girls, we're taught that our value, I'm not saying it's right, but we're taught that our value is in our attractiveness. So we work hard as young people to be attractive. When we start getting older and considering the possibility that our attractiveness that got us to find someone who's interested in us to help us not be lonely is now fading, then what do we have to use to attract people so that we won't be lonely? And so, even though, a lot of times in our relationships, if you have a relationship, a lot of times women are widows and they have to they get back out into the field, if as if it were, and try to date. That's scary. Um, as far as my husband is concerned, I know he tells me he loves me. He even calls me pretty girl and all this kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
I look in the mirror and I'm like, he doesn't have to wear makeup. And I'm not saying I have to, right? But there was this song that came out. It's like the same thing it took to get your baby hooked. It's going to take the same thing to keep her, right? And you really think about that. You start off with attractiveness as eye candy. Am I right about it?
You
And
right about it.
the thing is that as much as I know he loves me, yeah, I have to admit sometimes I am concerned about his, what if somebody else catches his eye or is more attractive, him finding somebody attractive. It's not constant, but there are these insecurities that I have to struggle with, that I've had to struggle with for a long time. They don't just go away because somebody says, I think you look good. Because just like he said, they are internal. How do you work towards that? And I believe that there are some areas that have helped me, primarily my spirituality, getting to the point of like, okay, I'm now walking in where I think God sees me and not being judged. But on a regular basis, I'll give you an example. This is something like, as far as older people are concerned, one of the things that we often do when we're talking to them, if they don't feel good, we say, what's wrong? You don't feel good, do you? Translation, you don't look good. So the more people hear it, the worse they feel, the worse they look, and then they get more of those compliments. You really don't feel the rest. You didn't get much sleep last night, did you? All that kind of stuff.
I
We need
definitely heard
to,
that.
you understand what I'm trying to say.
I
And
do.
so those are the things, if as far as helping people, I have to start with self-talk. you know Gina had said something to mother that I try to embrace. She said, if you smile, people won't know that you're sick, right? It is not listen, people, it's not a compliment when you tell somebody that they look sick. That's one of the things that we could do to even help people, because it seems like people pair, and then I'll be done with this and see what you think. They seem to couple with sickness and attraction with getting old. People are afraid of getting old and ugly, sick and ugly, sick and ugly. Those two seem to go together with aging. And I believe we have to start dialoguing in such a way that our conversation doesn't put those two together.
Okay, I want to take a break right here and then continue in this conversation. I want to dig a little deeper. I do have some comments myself and some questions. But for those of you that are watching and listening from YouTube, this is what I'd like you to do. Thank you very much. And there's somebody that I've been watching lately. He keeps saying, run the likes up. And I promise you, I never even think about the whole like video situation. But that does help me. That helps my channel. So if you believe in the show, if you believe in, our topics and things, give me a little like, please and thank you. Give me some comments. That is helpful. The feedback is helpful. And the more subscribers I have and the more likes I get, I'm able to continue because people will invest. Amen. So we're going to go ahead and take this small break and then we'll get back to the conversation. Jamal Rogers, and I'm a singer, songwriter, choreographer, voice actor, and I'm the creator and talk show host of PURELive. PURE is an acronym for perfectly undefined raw elegance. So naturally, we want our content to be pure, raw, and elegant. It airs live every Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. And if you'd like to see all of the episodes, you can reach it at asiajamal.com, ASIAJAMAL.com. Or if you'd like to be on the show, you can reach me at asia@asiajamal.com. Hope to see you soon. By the way, this young man and young lady that's on here with me, these are also my producers, and they put that together. So thank you. Did such a wonderful job. So awesome. I'm so blessed, you guys. Okay. Again, remember, feel free to comment, feel free to question, and I will see it even after the show, and we'll contribute to part 2 and everything. So moving forward into this conversation, and dealing with the whole loneliness and the beauty and everything. So the whole attraction thing and connecting with people. My tagline, if you guys paid attention, says, remember to embrace God's perfect design, which is you. Mm-hmm. And there are quite a few males that I know, I like to ask questions. I'm like, is this person attractive to you? Why? Is this person attractive to you? Why? I like to learn how the mind works. And the people that I pointed out, it was never about their physical appearance. It was about how they carried themselves. Mm-hmm. They're like, there's something about the way that she's carrying herself. It's just, it's very attractive. It draws me in. And I realized in dealing with the fear of getting old and getting ugly and being sick and all of that, I feel like we make ourselves ugly and being active in that fear. But if we are able to somehow achieve that confidence in ourselves and the way that God made us, then we don't appear so unattractive to other people. And it's because we're not so unattractive to ourselves. So I'm learning how to carry myself in that way. And of course, my husband is definitely a great help to that, and so are my children. My middle child, Titus, cracks me up because he tells me a good 20 times a day, "You're beautiful." I mean, just out the blue, no leading up to it. Mommy, you're beautiful. And someone said, "Are you telling me that because you think I need to hear it, or that's what you think?" I just try to understand. Are you trying to boost my confidence, or am I looking special? So you're like, "Hey, believe in yourself. You're beautiful." What's really going on? He's like, "No, I just
does he want more iPad time?"
Right. Like, tell me the truth. And he said, "No, I just really think you're beautiful." And I get feedback from the children, because children say things more unapologetically. And like, you carry yourself like this, or Mommy, why do you do that? Or, So it's good to have that feedback and to learn.
Hmm.
So in your own lives, or discussing things with older people or other people, do you feel like that lack of confidence feeds into their overall attraction and overall health?
Both, yes, absolutely. I do believe that I've been very blessed to not only have support from my children as far as compliments, but of course, it doesn't hurt at all to have a beautiful wife that, you know, is pleased that you're with her. You know, if you got a beautiful wife that says, you can take the night off, I'm okay. Then you might want to wonder about that. But she likes to be with me. In fact, I enjoy her whenever she gives me the opportunity to go out with her, because it's always a joy, no matter what we end up doing together. The the reality about feeling confident myself, I think I was probably very confident as a kid, but not sure about myself. I still had some things I needed to figure out. As I grew older, I became more confident because I realized that the same one who gave me these things was still giving me stuff. And it was God. God was still working a work that He's faithful to complete in me. And I saw the work manifest in ways by people telling me feedback. In other words, I've been blessed to be in the entertainment field, as well as serving in ministry and, different job fronts, that people see you in a different light. You know, people think that it's a glamour lifestyle to be, on stage or to be an entertainer, musician, singer. The reality of it is that can be very stressful. There's a whole lot of folks that we were, playing together years ago. They've aged significantly, well, I would say differently, because they um, became more stressed. They engaged the stress more than I did. I was able to handle the stress in a different way, or was at least blessed with a partner to help me mitigate what that stress was, feeling like at the time. And so we're better now. Um, I would say I'm better now with those things that used to bother me a little bit more. I was more insecure as a younger man than I am now, even though I know, I mean, the stuff it is that I used to do, even 15, 20 years ago, I can't do those things the way I did then, but I'm not feeling bad because it's still part of my story. It's still what I've done. It's not like I'll never be able to do those things. I did quite a bit. I feel good about what I've been able to accomplish over my life. So I still have that to fall back on. But now, on the other side, are there other folks that I know that are struggling? Absolutely. And am I able to help them? Some, but let me tell you what I believe is a challenge, and that is comparison. I think when people tend to compare their lives to yours, and you're trying to tell them, "Hey, I've been blessed to do this. I've been blessed." Yeah, well, yeah, you should be feeling like that, but I can't do that. As though now all of a sudden their life is less than yours. And the truth of the matter is that I'm not better because somebody's less, right? We
Right.
actually are better the more we engage with others and share with others, but we don't have to put other people down, and they don't have to be less than us.
Right.
We really want to do what we can to encourage, inspire, motivate others to raise up, but they have to think that way about themselves. And sometimes that's not in our control. Sometimes we try, but sometimes it's not under our influence alone that will cause it to happen. So we just have to pray about it.
Right.
I also think along those same lines is that as we get older, we're more fearful of rejection, and
More?
fearful of failure. In other words, okay, so I'm 50, I'm almost, 50 or 55 or whatever. I look over my life and I feel like I really haven't accomplished anything. So it goes back to, I believe, what Dr. Jamal was saying earlier about relevance.
Hmm.
Where's my relationship with the people that believe that I'm relevant? I
Hmm.
believe that when people feel like they are important, you as cute, you as adorable, you as important, you,
Smart.
I know I kind of messed that one up, but you know what I'm saying.
Totally.
You get it. See, that's
So
another
like,
one.
where's that from?
Fear of losing my memory. I forgot what I was gonna say. That's another one of them. But
Yeah.
I would like him to speak to that we kind of touched on, but I believe that it does start at an earlier age, and people are afraid that as they get older, they will become even less significant, less
Well,
important, which also
I
leads to loneliness.
right. I actually want to contribute my own testimony and then ask questions. And that is, I've noticed that the older I get more and more concerned about my contribution as well. You know, I have children and now grandbabies, and um, to you guys or to others, I'm still a baby myself. That's what people say. It is so funny. It's like in the industry I'm in and dealing with project management. So many times, even though I'm getting older, I'm still the baby. And I'm like, I don't feel like one. And like the if people knew how our family was, we are like super overachiever kind of people. It's like we're not just going to specialize in this. We're going to specialize in this, and this. We're going to perfect all of it, and then we're going to take it to the 10th power. That's just how we operate. And I'm 36 years old. I've achieved a lot of things, and my parents have helped me to recognize that. But I have had like, yeah, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done this. How much can I put away before I get to the point where I can't anymore? I get those kind of concerns. It's like I'm feeling like time is running out all of a sudden, and
Mhm.
it's like, do I have enough time to actually make the impact that I want to make? And I think that has actually contributed to uh, stress.
Mm.
And are you guys finding that with other people, or have you experienced that yourself?
Well, I think at times I had when I would say before I began to see my life as I'm seeing it now. One, you don't realize your story is as awesome as it is until you begin to try to reflect on it and actually start writing some things down. You say, I have children. You say that, like nonchalantly, like it's not a big deal. You have three beautiful, gorgeous children. Okay. I mean, just awesome, flat out. Okay. And I'm not only proud of how beautiful they are on the outside, but they're beautiful children. Now they're smart and they definitely have the the things that you would hope your child would have to deal with today's technology and all of the weird complications and complexities of communicating and adapting to social life. They've got the stuff to adjust to that. Well, that had to come through you, if not just, I mean, it's not you alone because you're part of a connection, I mean, of a support system, but they look to you because your mom, okay, and that they have this wonderful relationship with you is great. But when you're talking about what we've experienced ourselves, it's been a while, let me put it that way, since I can imagine that, because of the fact that my vision has changed in assessing who I am, what I have, who God has called me to be, and what He's put in me to get there. The truth of the matter is that you say favor is not fair. Um, he's given me more than enough to work with. And so the only thing that I struggle with is standing before Him and having to answer about what I did with all that He's given me to work with, because I
Mhm.
believe that's going to happen. I have to then give an accounting for what I did with all those and all that He has entrusted unto me.
Mhm. And I appreciate what you're saying. Me, on the other hand, I believe that I've been blessed as well, husband, daughter. At the same time, I am so empathetic. So it's not just about me, but about the people that I'm associated with.
Mhm,
Everybody doesn't have that same story. And I care about those people who don't, who are lonely.
mhm,
And I feel that.
mhm,
And at the same time, even though I've grown a lot, I still realize that it has been a struggle
mhm,
of feeling insecure, and there are still points when I feel like I'm not enough. It doesn't matter how much. You may say, you're great, you're doing this, I really feel good about you. My husband is very encouraging. Family, you're very encouraging. And at the same time, me, you can tell me it is beautiful, the sun is shining. And most of the time I'm in agreement with you. But sometimes you tell me it's beautiful, the sun is shining. I'm like, did you see that little cloud way back there? It might get bigger. That cloud could get bigger. What are we going to do if it gets bigger? Am I right about it?
You are right about
If you
it.
go there.
Because I see different possibilities, and in today's world, a lot of those possibilities include pain. It includes those things that we're afraid of. God told us, He said, "Fear not." And I believe that the reason that "fear not" is in the scriptures so often, because He knew that we would be fearful
Facts.
because of the challenges that we have in this world. And for me, I believe that element of, I try to surround myself with people who will push beyond my negativity, push beyond my worry, and help me to see the positive. And everybody can't get close enough to you to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying there's a whole world of people out there that if we were able to somehow help people to see things more positively and less fearfully, there would be less fear going around. You get what I'm saying? Why are we where we are now? Why don't seniors or people go to the doctor a lot of times when they should? Why aren't they taking the vaccination? A lot of people are afraid of getting sick. They're afraid of just so many things. And my question too, and I'd like my husband to address, how is it that we can help those people who are not as fortunate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a very complex thing when you say, how can we help? Because we're not God. And so we can't be all things to everyone. And,
Right.
like many of the examples that you guys came up with, for instance, were of women that are having, image issues where they're not feeling. If I spend a whole lot of time trying to compliment other women, I'm going to wind up in trouble myself. Okay.
Hey, that's
So,
not your job.
okay.
Right.
So that we
Yeah.
have to pick our spots that we are able to do some things to encourage and motivate. At the same time, I think we have to choose um, our our um, our phrases more carefully. I try to stay very clear of judgment as much as I possibly can. I know that there are times when I'll say something that I wish I hadn't said. And I regret those things. If people say no regrets, no regrets. Well, I have regrets of any of the times it is that I actually said something or did something to someone that caused them pain. I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt people. Having said that, what you can do is intentionally, and when I say intentionally, I mean have those that communication, that vocabulary that's handy, that's available to you to use to lift somebody up. Now, if they're not in the mindset to receive that, you dropped a seed. You may not be able to see it flourish, but maybe in a quiet moment, they'll remember what it is that you said. So at least be that. Be somebody that's dropping seeds. At least you may not see the fruit of all the things it is that you're doing because again, you're not God. You don't have an abundance of time to spend there with that somebody to make that happen. So do as you can. Drop the seed of encouragement, of motivation, help them to try to see something else, encourage them to be adaptive. I can't tell you how important that is. We don't have to do things the way we did it before. You may have, whatever way it is that you were trying things before, it didn't work out. I get that. There's another approach. Be open to learn so that you can try whatever you want to try with a different approach and to get a different outcome. I know you're going to get
Right.
the same thing. If you're going for the same thing and you're trying the same way you did before, you're going to get the same results. I get that.
Yeah.
But there are more approaches available to us. That's why I am a serial learner, always trying to see what other way it is that I could actually approach things differently.
Yeah, that is something that is common throughout our entire family. We are all serial learners. There's something that I do want to dig into, and like I told you guys, we are going to have part two. I invite you to comment, go over the show, think of any questions that you want to pose. I do see these things myself. When you email me, I see the emails. When you communicate with me via social media, it is me that responds. I can promise you that. And here's all my social media. I know it's a lot, right? So you have no excuse. Um, I am everywhere. No, so what I would like to do in part two, well, I'm sure you have other things to address as well, is I want to get even more personal and talk about cause and effect, because in learning how to help each other and dealing with, as you put it, aging fearlessly, I feel like there's some bad habits we got to learn how not to have, and that have caused us to age quicker. Um,
Mm.
and I have my own personal testimonies with that. So I would like to speak more with the doctors um, about those things, about my own testimony. And those of you that have rocked with me all this time, by the way, this show is now over a year old. Can you believe it?
Awesome.
Oh my
Awesome.
gosh. So I appreciate all those that have been there.
Congratulations. Praise the Lord.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bas-
I'm so
So
grateful.
one season in the bag. There you go.
Mhm.
One season in the bag. And I see Felix. Hi, Felix. He's been
Felix,
there from the beginning too.
we have to adopt Felix. Felix is going to be an honorary Purite. Puriana. Purian.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I see. I have to come up with a name for you guys because that's a contest right there. All right. You can
Okay.
help me come up with a name, Felix. So thank you. He said, congratulations. So, that being said, I really want to address these things because I have learned through the years,
Mhm.
even watching you guys, even watching you encourage other people and deal with other people, and your compassion, your empathy, um, and learning that some of the things that I've dealt with are self-inflicted, and it's due
Mhm.
to these fears,
Mhm.
that cause stress. So I really like to deal with that cause and effect. And I'd like you guys to let us know also if there's anything specifically that you want to deal with, want us to deal with, and want us to address in part two. What did you have
Let
something
me
that you
let
wanted
me
to
Yeah,
say?
I just wanted to add to just mention this too. One of the fears being mortality, and I'm going to leave this the way it is. And my brother, your uncle, just passed on the 15th. He had a massive heart attack.
Mhm.
I was not going to go. I had a doctor's appointment that I was not going to go to because I'm like, to me, they're just taking all of our money or whatever. But because of that, I went. And I realized that part of that is, when you see all these people that are passing, the fear of your own mortality, it takes front and center stage.
Mhm.
And I realized that's a part of the grieving process that we go through. We don't all want to say it, but many of us that empathize say that could have been me.
Mhm.
That could have been my whoever, Uh,
Right.
and it is sad, but I think that a lot of times we are grieving and afraid for ourselves
Mhm.
as well. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
I-
I was just gonna add to the whole thing about fear. I don't I see it fear being mentioned in the scriptures a little differently. I think it is debilitating and keeps us from becoming who he's called us to be. And so he's saying, fear not, so that we don't embrace those things that are hindering us from going where he wants us to go, being what he wants us to be, and coming to him about the things we should come to him about.
Mm,
So that's what I think the fear thing is about. Fear not is about. Aging fearlessly, again, recognizing that we're going to adapt. The things it is that we can or that we have a hard time recovering from, it may be a journey, but you can still recover. The only thing you can't recover from, and I know you guys have heard me say it before, is quitting.
mhm.
That's the one thing you can't recover from. So if you're willing to try it, if you're willing to try it again, then you may find the success is still waiting.
I would like to, when you come back next week, to deal with that fear of losing someone. Because I got to tell you, that also occurred. You know, some of the things that were being processed is I feel my heart goes out to my sister-in-law, my brother's wife.
Sure.
And that fear of not having your spouse, it made me look at my own husband. I'm looking at all kinds of stuff. I want him to be healthy. I'm watching what he's eating. I'm watching where he's going. So there is this fear or this anxiousness. We don't want to say fear, but this fear of it happening to him. You know what I'm saying? And of being left alone with that. You know, there's so many widows now that they're left alone to try to figure life out without this partner that they had.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
definitely
my heart
want us
goes
to.
there too.
Me too. I definitely want to. I mean, that actually
And the
forces what
children.
I was talking about in regards to some of my own personal testimony and some cause and effect as well, and dealing with these fears. So it is at that time for us to wrap up for this evening. But again, go ahead and leave your comments, your questions, and I will see them and we will address them next week for part 2. Thank you guys, and thank you for all of the lovely comments and encouragement that I got when I put out that live video, letting you guys know I was dealing with some personal things and couldn't do the show last week. You guys just warmed my heart. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. You just don't know. So until next week, as I say, and as I said earlier, remember to embrace God's perfect design, which is you. And we will be here Friday next week, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for you guys hanging in there.
Weeping